I need you to think about something before this story starts. You are a husband. You have 3 sons. You work hard. You have built a life, a house outside Park City, Utah. A marriage that has had its rough patches but is still standing. Children who love you. On the night of March 4th, 2022, your wife suggests you celebrate a recent achievement in her real estate business. She makes you a Moscow Mule. She pours you a lemon drop shot. You drink them. You go to bed. You do not wake up. Your name was Kouri Richins. You were 39 years old. You had no history of drug use, no health conditions that would explain what happened next. You were, by every account of everyone who knew you, a normal, healthy man who went to sleep after having a drink with his wife. The autopsy found fentanyl in your blood at approximately 5 times the lethal dose. Not a trace, not an accidental exposure. 5 times the amount needed to kill a person. Your wife told the police you died of a brain aneurysm. Then she published a children's book about grief. And here is the thing that is going to stay with you long after this video ends. That book, called Are You With Me?, is about a child learning to cope with the loss of a parent. She dedicated it to her children. She went on the news to promote it. She talked about her own grief. She positioned herself as a woman trying to help other families through loss. Her husband had been dead for less than a year, and she had killed him. Kouri Richins was 39 years old. He and Kouri had been married for several years and had 3 young sons together. By every account of people who knew him, he was a devoted father, the kind of man whose kids were the center of his world. Kouri Richins was 35 years old. She ran a home flipping business in the Park City area. The prosecution's theory was straightforward. She killed her husband to help pay the debts of her floundering business and to get a fresh start. But what makes this case different from other cases built around those same elements, affair, debt, life insurance, is the specific way she did it, and the specific things she did afterwards, because both of those things reveal a psychology that forensic analysts found deeply unusual. Not just calculated, patient, practiced, and almost impossibly cold. Here is the detail that most people do not know about this case, because the night of March 4th was not the first time. She was also found guilty of attempted aggravated murder for trying to kill him weeks before his death on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day 2022, Kouri Richins tried to kill her husband. He did not die. He became ill, but recovered. He stayed. He recovered. He went back to their life together. And she tried again. Days before Valentine's Day, Richins asked her housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, for something stronger. Lauber said she told Richins she could get fentanyl, and Richins told her to get it. Lauber said she got about 20 pills from a drug dealer, and that Richins paid her $1,000. $1,000 paid to her housekeeper for the pills she used to kill her husband. The prosecution's star witness was not a detective. It was not a forensic analyst. It was the woman who cleaned her house.
Now, let us talk about the book, because this is the detail that took this case from being a straightforward, if horrifying, poisoning murder to something that researchers who study this type of personality will be referencing for years. After Kouri Richins died, Kouri Richins did not disappear from public view. She did not lay low. She did not adopt the quiet, private grief of a widow trying to rebuild. She wrote a children's picture book. The book is called Are You With Me? It is about a child who loses a parent and learns to feel their presence even after death. She promoted it publicly. She spoke about her grief in interviews. She positioned herself in the months after Eric's death as a woman who had been through something devastating and was using her experience to help others. Forensic psychologists who study what they call the performative grief response describe this behavior as an extreme extension of impression management. Where Chris Watts maintained his performance for days, Kouri Richins maintained hers for months. For long enough to write and publish a book. For long enough to do press for it. The performance did not crack under the weight of what she had done. If anything, it became more elaborate. At this point in the video, if you are finding this case as disturbing as I am, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. We have viewers from all over the world, and I genuinely want to know where this story is landing. Leave your country or your city below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a weekly upload. Okay, back to Kouri. The investigation that eventually unraveled everything did not start with the fentanyl. It started with Eric Richins' family. His family did not believe the brain aneurysm explanation. They hired a private investigator. That private investigator began looking into Kouri's finances, her communications, her relationships, and what they found was enough to bring to law enforcement. When investigators obtained Kouri's phone records, they found a text that became one of the most discussed pieces of evidence in the trial. Kouri Richins texted Lauber, "Still have your hookup?" days after her husband's death. Days after. She had just killed her husband with fentanyl obtained through her housekeeper, and days after his death, she was texting that same housekeeper asking if the supply was still available. The prosecution told the jury that Kouri Richins had, in the words of lead prosecutor Brad Bloodsworth, learned from her mistake on Valentine's Day. The Moscow Mule and the lemon drop shot on March 4th were the corrected version, the version that worked. The amount of fentanyl found in Eric Richins' system showed that Kouri Richins wanted Eric not only dead, but good and dead. 5 times the lethal dose.
After deliberating for just over 3 hours, a Utah jury found Kouri Richins guilty of poisoning her husband with a fentanyl-laced drink at their home in 2022. 3 hours. For a case involving over 40 witnesses and 13 days of testimony. The jury did not need long. During the trial, her attorneys repeatedly drove home the crux of their defense, that prosecutors could not prove how the drugs that killed her husband entered his body. Not one of more than 40 witnesses called by the prosecution testified about how Kouri Richins administered roughly 5 times a lethal dose of fentanyl to Eric Richins. And that is technically true. No one saw her put the fentanyl in the drink. There was no video. There was no direct witness testimony to the act itself. But the jury looked at the totality of what was presented. The housekeeper who bought the drugs, the texts, the Valentine's Day attempt, the insurance fraud, the affair, the financial motive, and they deliberated for 3 hours. The defense rested its case without calling any witnesses, not one. On May 13, 2026, Kouri Richins appeared in the 3rd District Court in Park City, Utah for her sentencing hearing. Before her sentencing, Richins read aloud a lengthy statement that she addressed to her 3 young sons. She said, "As much as you have been influenced into thinking that Dad was murdered, that I took your dad from you, that is completely wrong, an absolute lie, and the thought of that is still as absurd today as it was 4 years ago." She said this at her sentencing, after being convicted unanimously by a jury. She looked at the situation she was in, convicted, about to be sentenced, and she still maintained the performance. and then the therapists read out statements from her sons. Each one said they would fear for their safety if their mother were ever released from prison. His own sons, his own children, the children she had dedicated the grief book to. Each one of them said they were afraid of her. The judge sentenced her to life in prison. A person convicted of committing that sequence of acts in that way and for that reason, and causes the absolute tragedy that has befallen Eric Richins' sons and family. A person convicted of those things is simply too dangerous to ever be free. Eric Richins was 39 years old. He was a father of 3. He had no history of drug use. He went to bed on March 4, 2022, after having a drink with his wife and did not wake up. His boys were young when it happened. They are older now. They have been through a trial. They have sat in therapy sessions and had their words read aloud to a courtroom. They have heard their mother, at her own sentencing, tell them that everything they believe about what happened to their father is a lie. They did not believe her. And neither did the judge, neither did the jury, neither did the investigators who spent 4 years building the case, neither did the housekeeper who eventually told the truth about the pills, neither did Eric Richins' family who hired a private investigator because they knew in their bones that what they had been told was not the whole story. Kouri Richins will die in prison. The grief book is still available for purchase online. It has a 5-star review from a reader who called it a beautiful way to explain loss to young children. It was written by a woman who had just poisoned her husband to death and dedicated to the sons who now say they are afraid of her. So that is going to do it. If you got something out of today's story, not just the what, but the psychology of it, the performance, the book, the texts, the sons, that is exactly what this channel is built for. Before you go, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. A city, a country, anything. We have people watching from all over the world, and I want to know where this story is reaching. Leave it below. And if this video made you think, subscribe, turn on notifications. We upload every week, and the next one is already coming. Thank you. Until next time, see you. Wait, don't go anywhere. If you are looking for more videos like this one, click here.